Well, this morning, search and rescue crews are expected to be back out on the water in Baltimore, scouring through the mangled wreckage there of the Francis Scott Key Bridge.
All 6 construction workers who have been missing after the bridge collapsed are now presumed to be dead. Let's get right over to Channel 3's Roger Suzanne at the First Alert Desk with the very latest. Raj?
Nicole, Caitlin, yeah, this is such a heartbreaking story. So the search for those missing workers was called off temporarily late last night. And unfortunately, when that operation resumes this morning, it will shift from a rescue operation to a recovery mission. As again, officials believe it's unlikely that any of those 6 victims could have survived this long in that cold water. Now, this morning, we're also learning some new details about that cargo ship that slammed into the bridge early yesterday morning. Sources tell CBS News that multiple alarms went off after the ship lost power as well as propulsion. Now, the pilot issued a critical mayday call, which gave law enforcement enough time to stop anybody else from driving on that bridge, which saved lives. Now, several engineers say they do not believe that the collapse was the result of any kind of structural problems with that massive bridge. And right now, the NTSB continues to investigate. We're going to have another update on this story in less than 30 minutes. Live at the First Alert Desk, I'm Roger Suzanne. Nicole, Caitlin?
All right, Roger, thank you.